Yes, Ms. Vaughn, if you can go to breakout room number 3.
Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah,
Judge,
loving the blues.
Judge, if you could transfer me over, I don't think I had the ability to move over.
Welcome back to Time Served, the channel that scans the docket so you don't have to. There are times where we scratch our heads at the decisions made by defendants while court watching. And even though we may think they are crazy for making these decisions, one will never know what to do unless we are in their shoes. So in this case, Miss Coulterman is a 19-year-old self-proclaimed generational gang member with tats plastered across her face, but swears she was never in the Mexican mafia.
That's an interesting way of putting it. That makes sense.
Well, Judge Boyd ain't buying it, and neither am I. And once you hear her decision after flip-flopping back and forth, it may answer some of your questions. Tell us what you think, or just say hello by commenting below. It really helps out the channel. Like and subscribe, set your notifications to all. Let's roll, nerds.
All right. I have to make sure I drink all of my water, Britta. When you take allergy medicine, that's the one thing they're like, drink plenty of fluids. So I'm trying. All right. Court is calling 2021 CR 7555, State of Texas versus Savannah Coulterman. Can I have parties announced for the record for the state?
Michelle Hayden for the state.
For the defense?
Eric Baker for Ms. Coulterman, who's present, Judge. Yes,
And are you Ms. Coulterman?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, we're proceeding by video because of the pandemic. Any objection from the state?
And from the state.
Any objection from the defense?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Coulterman, do you have any objection with the sentencing taking place by video?
No, ma'am.
And the court will note for the record that the defendant entered a plea to count 1 of no contest that was done by video on October 7th. The state waived count 1 and count 3 without objection. Court found there was sufficient evidence to find the defendant guilty. According to the plea bargain agreement, punishment is to be assessed at a cap of 7 years in the prison. There's a $1,500 fine. The state is silent on your applications. They're taking some cases into consideration. And there are, of course, no contact orders with several individuals. Have both parties had a chance to review the PSI report?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Any objections to the PSI report from the state?
No, Your Honor.
Any objections from the defense?
No objection, Judge. Maybe some clarifications to your testimony. No objections.
All right. Then defense, the state is silent. There is a Carol Coulterman who's waiting to zoom in. Is that a witness for you, defense?
Yes, Your Honor. That's the mother of the defendant.
All right. So I have admitted her. So the message says that she is joining the breakout room and she is now here.
Great.
All right. Defense, you can call your first witness.
Thank you, Judge. We will call Ms. Coulterman, my client.
All right, Ms. Coulterman, can you raise your right hand for me, please? Do you
Yes,
solemnly
ma'am.
swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can lower your hand. And if you could state your name for the record, please.
My name is Savannah Dawn Coulterman.
All right, defense.
Thank you, Judge. Ms. Coulterman, tell the court how old you are.
I'm 19 years old.
Okay, and ma'am, you've had some arrests in your past. You've never been convicted of a crime, have you?
No, never. This is my first time, and so well, lesson learned.
Okay, Ms. Coulterman, can you describe briefly the cultural family situation that you grew up into the judge with regard to what the PSI said about gang affiliation, et cetera?
Yes. I'm not affiliated. It was more of a generational family tree thing, but I'm not participating nor engaging in any illegal activities.
And you haven't in the past,
No,
correct?
no.
All right. Ma'am, the offense that you've been charged with and that you've entered a plea on, do you take full responsibility for that in front of this court?
Yes, I take full responsibility for the incident that occurred. I wasn't in my right state of mind. I was in between insurances, so I wasn't on my medication that I normally take religiously.
Let me stop you real quick there and go into that a little bit with your questions, okay?
Yes, sir.
Do you have some mental diagnoses of mental illness or disease that have been documented and diagnosed by a medical doctor?
Yes, sir. Since I was 12 years old, I was diagnosed with major severe anxiety, PTSD, schizoactive disorder, and seizures as well. And that's been since I was 12 years old.
Okay, and you're also diagnosed, if I'm not mistaken, bipolar, correct?
Yes, yes, sir.
How long have you been taking medications for these ailments?
Since I was 12 years old.
Okay. And around the time of this the time of this offense, is there anything that you were going through that might have made you act in a way that if you were to be given treatment or help, that you may not repeat this in the future?
The incident that was going on was I was in between insurances at the time, and I wasn't staying with family, and I was kind of in between addresses and stuff. So my insurance was having a hard time verifying things, and I wasn't on my medication. It wasn't being paid by my insurance, so that's why I was out of fills.
Okay. In the past, have you ever, prior to this, been in a situation where you haven't had access to your meds and not been taking them?
No.
And so this was a result of insurance dropping for a period of time, correct?
Yes.
Has that since been rectified? Is your insurance active now so that if
Yeah.
the court
Yes, sir.
gives you access? Okay. And ma'am, I went over the DDRF mixed screening results and the PSI and the TAP with you, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you're aware that the DDRF MIC is offering to help you with your psychiatric needs, including monitor and make sure that you're currently prescribed with the medications that you're on, which is buspirone and risperidol, and it doesn't list the third, but you're on a third, correct?
Yes. Yes, sir.
What is that? Clonazepam?
Yes.
Okay. And if the court were to release you or to grant your application, I should say, with the help of staying on those meds, do you think that would help ensure that you wouldn't have any more episodes that might lead to offenses like this?
Definitely. Yes, sir.
Ma'am, you've made some plans for your future recently, correct?
Yes, I have.
Can you describe those for the court, what your plans are? Should you be granted, did your application be granted?
I graduated in 2018, actually 2 years early. And this year I had my FAFSA put in and I was doing my ACEs, and it's still good for me to join. Like, if I were to be granted probation, I could do my last steps of registration and join in spring semester or the late fall and winter semester, since everything's on Zoom.
Okay. Can I have just a moment, Your Honor, my computer?
Yes.
Ma'am, do you have any children?
Yes, I have one 5-year-old daughter.
Okay. And at the time of this offense and anterior to that, was that daughter living with you and under your care?
No, sir. She's with my brother that's in the Air Force right now at the moment. And at that time, yes.
Okay. And well, is the plan for you to assume the care for your daughter once you get back on your feet if the court grants this application?
Yes, I have a great support system. I'm very thankful for. They're really wanting me to learn from this, and I've sat here, I've listened, I've learned, I've gained patience, something I didn't have, but I most certainly need. I've grown with grace and learned the values of things in life I'll never take advantage of again. And my family wants me to learn from this and put this behind me and grow through what I've gone through so I could be a better mother for my daughter. I don't want my daughter to have a mom in prison or a mom that is lacking something. I want to be better.
Now, your support system, that would include your brother, correct?
Yes, I have two brothers. One, my brother Jacob, my brother Eric. One is in the Air Force, one works for the city, and I have my mom, who's a homeschool teacher, and plus my daughter, my little one, and that's the best support system. That's all I need, and I have myself too, you know.
Is there anything else that perhaps I've missed that you would like to tell the court in support of your application?
I have an uncle that works for he works in HR in the hiring process for Manpower on the behalf of Caterpillar, and he said if I were to get granted probation, because he knows that there would be fees, he could help me get a good position in there. So I'm just waiting to see what happens, but I've really learned from this. I don't think there's a lot of people my age that have gone through this trial or tribulation that could say the same. But I'm thankful the way it happened, and like Judge Boyd says, putting patience in my pocket, I've done that, and it really is to make me a better person at the end of the day, you know.
Your Honor, I don't have any further questions of this witness. I do have one additional very short witness.
What was her relationship with the complainants in this case? Because I've read the police reports previously when I found there was sufficient evidence, and I've also read the PSI report, and it's a little bit unclear.
There was a boyfriend and his family that she was living with at the time, is my understanding.
Well, I know there's a mention of Ulysses, but then it doesn't appear that Ulysses is related to this. Is Ulysses related to this?
He was my ex-boyfriend, and that was his sister-in-law, but I guess he was having sexual intercourse with her, and I didn't know that, so I was kind of caught in between that crossfire. And then his niece, she told me something that was really disturbing, and I addressed it, and I shouldn't have taken matters into my own hands, something that I would never do ever again. But the little girl told me something very disturbing.
Well, I will tell you, the court has read that, and the court know that there is potentially charges or cases pending based upon that. They're asking for her to do residential treatment at SADA.
Sorry, Judge, I do have one question for the defendant as well, when you're done.
Oh, of course. Go ahead.
Ms. Coulterman, you're saying that you're not a gang member, that you're not documented Mexican mafia. Is that correct?
The only reason I was considered, or Mr. Baker, do you want to, I don't know, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Ms. Coulterman.
The only reason I was registered as that is because of the tattoos that a family member had put on me at like the age of 13 to 14. That family member is now deceased, and I'm not engaged in any illegal activities. I'm not doing any of that.
Are you aware that our investigator did a gang affiliation check when your case came in, and that we have a gang letter saying that you are documented Mexican mafia?
Well, that would be due to the generational family tree, but I'm not.
Were you ever documented Mexican mafia?
I'm going to object because, A, she may not understand what that means. Documented is a legal process. She should ask her about her activities or her thoughts on that. But not
Well, if she doesn't understand what that means, Mr. Baker, she can say she doesn't understand, and there can be clarification. You can ask your question.
Were you ever part of the Mexican Mafia gang?
Well, due to my family and certain family members that were engaged, because I can't help my bloodline or who my family was associated with. I mean, I know that I fall into that category, but that's not entirely what it is. I'm not doing anything like that. I'm not engaged with my family. The ones that are engaged, I'm not having anything to do with them.
But were you at one point in time?
Well, yeah, my family. Yes,
That's
ma'am.
it, Your Honor.
All right. Any follow-up, defense?
No, Your Honor, I think she's admitted to the court that in her past she is faced with and doesn't bear any relationship to who she is right now, would be my argument.
Okay. All right, you have another witness?
Yes, Your Honor, I would call Carolyn Coulterman, her mother.
All right, could I have Carolyn Coulterman, please?
Please forward. Yes, Your Honor. I'm Carolina Coulterman. I'm her mother.
Okay. You may ask your questions, defense.
Thank you, Judge. Just briefly, Miss Coulterman, is Savannah your daughter?
Yes, she is. She's my youngest of three.
Obviously, she's in jail right now, but where does Savannah reside? Does she reside with you habitually?
Yes, I have everything at home. I have a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home waiting with all her furniture. I've been waiting, and I'm hoping that.
I'm sorry.
Ma'am, please just try to listen to my question and only answer that question. And then at the end, I have more to say. I'll give you that opportunity. How long has Savannah lived with you prior to her arrest?
The only time she wasn't with me was during that incident. I wasn't with her. I was actually residing in Quirks.
Okay. So she's lived with you since she's a child.
Oh, yes.
And you've had a chance to observe her growing up through
Yes.
elementary school, high school, etc.
All right, time out. Here's the thing. You're going to have to wait for him to finish asking your question before you respond. The court reporter, nope, stop. The court reporter cannot take down two people speaking at once. So let him finish with this question, and then you can answer it. You'll have plenty of time to say what you feel you need to say, but you need to let him finish asking his question. Defense?
Thank you, Judge. So, ma'am, you've had a chance to observe her from the time she was a child to the present, correct?
Correct.
And the court's going to make a decision today on Savannah's application for probation, and you're here speaking in support of that, correct?
Yes, I am. Correct.
Okay. Tell the court what you know of Savannah's character and what you think of how you think she will do on probation and why.
Well, I know for a fact, I know my daughter. I'm the one that has dealt with her all her life. I've been from the beginning to this end, the sad end. We worked together during that incident, and she was off her meds. I rectified that. It didn't take me long. I even had them delivered over there, but by that time she was arrested and in custody. And I do have her insurance updated, I guess because of the pandemic, through May 31st of 2022. So she's able to get her meds. And I also set up a visit with her doctor already that she was seeing before she was incarcerated, Dr. Don Raywalt at Communicare. And I set one up for tomorrow afternoon, I think for 4:40 p.m. so she can get her meds. But I have a voicemail that just says that they're going to reschedule it. So I haven't called back yet, but I even did that for her. And I know she looks great.
Okay, ma'am. So when Savannah is living at home with you, is she compliant? Is she pleasant to live with? Is she a good roommate?
Well, yes, of course. I mean, we have our mother and daughter little things, but that's normal. I make sure that she has her meds always. She's always gotten them. That was about the only time that she has not had them.
And are you asking the court to grant her application?
Yes, I'm pleading for mercy on my daughter. I
If the
will
court
overlook her.
if the court decides to grant her application recommendation, which is outpatient, are you going to be able to get her to her appointments and ensure she complies with all the terms and conditions that the court may impose upon her.
Definitely, because even when I didn't have a car and stuff, I always made her appointments. I would go with her. I made sure she got there. She always had her meds. They were filled. If I didn't pick them up, they were delivered. That I can tell you, I do that for her. And she's, you know, she was good about it too. She'd call in her refills when they were due, if you had to call them in. She's actually pretty good, you know, when she's focused and being in there almost 6 months. I'll tell the court one thing. I have noticed a big difference in my daughter, and just she's more humble. I know she's learned a hard lesson. This is the longest time that we've ever been apart. We have a very small family, and you know, of course, I'm just another parent that's sad and terribly, my heart's shattered, you know, but I know that I can definitely help her along the way, and I will make sure that she gets everything done on time, her fines.
All right, thank you for coming down.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Baker, any other witnesses?
No other witnesses, Your Honor.
All right, then the court will hear argument. Defense, the state
Your Honor,
is silent.
Yes, Your Honor, before the court, Ms. Coulterman, she's a young woman, very young woman, with no history of a criminal conviction. It's obvious from the offense reports and from the testimony of her mother that this particular episode, or offense, was episodic and not indicative of who she is or has been. She's not been perfect, but this was very out of character. And I think in part, in mitigation, explained by the sudden lack of all her psych medication. While that's not perhaps an excuse, it is a factor I think the court should consider in who Ms. Coulterman is and what her future looks like. I will say this, I'm not sure, you know, how much this matters, but I have noticed, like her mother, a great change in Ms. Coulterman from the first time that I encountered her in a courtroom. She's very calm, patient, as she says. I don't think she was just saying that. She's listened to everything I had to say. She's come up with she's obviously been thinking about what she's going to be doing to better her life when she gets out. She has a plan, enrolling in school. She has a support system. And I think there's every reason for this court to believe that she will do well should the court grant her application. I'm hoping if the court grants that application, considers first the outpatient treatment. I think if she has her meds, she'll be okay. And other than that, we'll just put it in the court's good hands.
All right. Well, probation says that she needs inpatient treatment. We do have the gang affiliation. I realize that she's only 19 years old. And I've read the PSI report, and the complainant's exact words are, let me find it. Her exact words are, she doesn't care what happens to this defendant. She only wants the defendant to have no contact with her or her children. So she is going into inpatient. The only question is what inpatient facility will accept her. I don't think SADF will accept her with her mental health issues. Is that correct, Rebecca?
I believe so, Judge.
So I guess Safe Peace Special Needs, will they accept her, even though we have the gang affiliation?
I think that might be the route to go.
Okay.
I'm looking at all the inpatient disqualifications.
Okay. All right. So, Ms. Coulterman, sometimes I can give people choices. Sometimes I can't give them choices. So here are your choices. And I'm giving you these choices because there are plenty of people who want treatment. And as you know, we have limited resources because some people don't believe in treatment. They don't believe that people should be treated for drug addiction. They think people should go to prison for drug addiction. They don't think that people should be treated for mental health. They think that people should be thrown away and go to prison for mental health. So I'm dealing with a situation where I have limited resources. I don't want to send someone to receive treatment if they don't want it, because if you don't want it, then you're taking a spot perhaps of someone who does want it and is ready to change their life. So your choices are either I will sentence you to 4 years in prison, or either you will be on deferred adjudication for 7 years and you are going to safety special needs. Do you wish to speak to your attorney about that?
Yes, ma'am. Can I please speak to Mr. Baker for a
Yes.
little bit? Thank you.
Of course. I'm going to send you to breakout room number 1.
Thank you, Judge.
You're welcome.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
Right. We are back on the record in 2021 CR 7555. It's the court's understanding, Ms. Coulterman, you've had a chance to speak with your attorney and you're requesting treatment. Is that correct?
Yes.
I mean, you sound unsure.
Oh,
Do you
I'm
want
just
treatment or not?
You know what? Yeah, I do.
I mean, if you don't want it, then don't take somebody else's spot who does. These are decisions you have to make. You're 19. So far up until this point, you've been making bad decisions. So here's your chance. You're at a crossroads in your life. What is your decision? Do you want treatment or do you want to go to prison?
I want treatment. I don't want to suffer a conviction.
All right. So this is what the court is going to do. Court will sentence you to 7 years deferred adjudication. $1,500 fine, probated. Affirmative finding of a deadly weapon. Taking consideration County Court Cause number 655855. No contact with Leslie Retana, Retana, Julian Mendoza, Paola, I know I'm mispronouncing that, Paola Mendoza, gang supervision, Safe P, defendant to, Safe P special needs. Defendant to remain in custody until transferred to Safe P. And there's supposed to be evaluation. Let me see, does she qualify for, I guess after she completes the gang supervision, if the gang supervision wants to lower her supervision to MIC, then I guess she can do MIC. But I'm going to say follow all mental health recommendations. Proof of employment within 30 days of release from custody. No employment as a home health care provider or with minors. Parenting classes. Is Child Protective Services involved in your life?
Yes, that's why my daughter's with my brother right now at the moment.
CPS compliance. No unsupervised contact with minors. 200 hours of community service restitution. 40 of those hours will be waived if you provide proof that you've obtained the COVID vaccination. The court is not requiring anyone to obtain the COVID vaccination, but if you do 40 hours of your 200 hours community service restitution will be waived. How far did you go in school?
I graduated. I started college and now this. Is it too late to change my mind?
No, it is not.
I'll take the 4 years prison.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for not taking a space from somebody else. So 4 years TDC, you're credit for any time served. There's an affirmative finding of a deadly weapon.
Yes, I understand, Judge Boyd.
All right, thank you. With that, we'll go off the record. Ms. Coachman, thank you for not taking up someone else's space if you were not ready or if you wanted to do something else. The courts appreciate that. You're 19 years old. You're going to have to make a decision on what you want to do with your life. You still have a lot of your life in front of you.